Session Rewind. We're here today with Gary Deberry, Queens bass player, extraordinaire musician, actor. Right, G? You acting too, right?
Yes, I did stumble into that.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get to that. All right. So like I start out with everybody. Tell me how I started. Like, did you originally start on bass or was it another instrument?
Well, for Creative Funk, yeah, I started on bass. I really started playing piano at 9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents gave me piano lessons. Then when I got into junior high school, I discovered the bass. And through two good friends of mine from Sharma Junior High School.
Okay, with Sharma. Okay.
Yeah, and we used to play for the talent shows. We had a little quartet. And so we used to do the talent shows and play at barbecues and, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then we ran into a manager. They grabbed us up and gave us a name, the Mighty Fantastics.
Wow. Okay.
So you guys are mighty young and you're fantastic. So we say, okay, Mighty Fantastic. And that took us to the Apollo Theater playing an amateur night. Yeah, so we had the pleasure of coming out, rubbing the tree stump and the whole thing. And it was good, man. I remember the song we played. It was Coming Home Baby. And, I think we were about 15 years old.
Okay.
And, we came in second place. So that was cool. And then, as time went by, then running into high school, and that's when a guitar player friend of mine, Robert Banks, we started the group. It wasn't Creative Funk. We didn't have a name, but we rehearsed over on Inwood Street and 116th Avenue. And with Andre Johnson and Mike Johnson, trumpet and tenor, and Jimmy Jordan. He was the drummer.
Okay.
We rehearsed, and we rehearsed. Didn't have a name.
And so what high school were y'all all from?
Well, I was from Martin Van Buren.
Okay, you went to Martin, okay.
Right. Banks was from, it's called Woodrow Wilson at the time.
Right. Now I'm from around the corner, but yeah, because I lived across the street from Richard Currents.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Man, Richard. That's right. I'm coming up to Richard.
Uh-huh.
And after we got started and got going, the trumpet player and I said, we need a name. So we walking down the street and you say, yo, man, that's some Creative Funk we were playing. I said, well, that's it. Creative Funk, let's go. And then as time went by, we ran into Richard. We were looking for a drummer. And Richard came and auditioned for us. And what a drummer he was, powerhouse. And really dedicated, his personality, our chemistry worked.
Right.
Right. So we, that's when we formed Creative Funk. And then my brother jumped in, Deke Deberry, to manage the band.
Oh, okay. So the manager was your brother. Okay.
Right. That's right. And he was in the business. He used to manage, he was road manager for Shep and the Limelights. Remember the Daddy's Home and Anniversary?
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we talking what years, like when y'all formed that? Like late 60s?
Right. Creative Funk, right. I would say 68.
Okay.
Right, 1968. And the way my brother became the manager, Mom said, why don't you go out there with your brother and see what he's doing? So he was reluctant. So he came out to, we had a job at the Linden Manor. Remember the Linden Manor there on Linden Boulevard, right off Farmers? So we played there. My brother came down to hear us and said, wow. So he managed us and he took us, to the Apollo once again after we recorded the record, Ready Made Family. So that's how we got started.
Wow. So now when y'all recorded that, Ready Made Family, did y'all have your own studio then? Or did y'all record that somewhere else? Okay.
Right. No, we didn't. We recorded, we used to rehearse at Clarence Bassist, who was one of the members of Shep and the Limelights. Right off of what's that, Rockaway Boulevard You know where that KFC is on Rockaway and Baisley?
Yep. Remember when they built it? Mm-hmm.
That's right. Was we call him CB. CB lived in that area, so
Okay.
we rehearsed there, and that's where we wrote the record there in his basement.
Right. So now Rich was in the band at that time when y'all started recording?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes, he was. And after we got the record going, that's when we got the building. Deke got the building there on Merritt Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah, and so it was all over with then. We were in there 24/7 just playing.
Because now I remember, like, I went to PS45, and I remember when Funk Power came out.
Yep.
Now y'all had a guitar player named Sonny.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Now, Sonny actually worked at our school. I believe his mother might have worked there, and he was like an aide, the one, you needed that older brother type there to pop us in the head to keep us in line and stuff like that. Well, that's what Sonny used to do at school. But when that record came out, he was Mr. Celebrity to us.
Yeah.
We would see him. He had no more problems out of school. We would always be going Funk Power in the hallway. And it was like such a great thing to see him. It made us feel like proud. It's like, wow, he's got a record out. And every time he walked through the hallway, we was like, oh man, Sonny, Funk Power.
That's right. What a rhythm guitar player he was, man. Wow.
So we, I always remember him for that. And, the fact of living across the street from Rich.
Yeah.
So, I would see y'all, come by sometime. And it was like always seeing Rich, taking drums in and out the house. Because I just interviewed Richard Ruiz. So,
nice.
He's from down the block, right. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about Richard Kearns, rest in peace, to Rich. And I was telling him I was going to be talking to you because Creative Funk was so influential in the neighborhood. I was saying, I looked at how y'all did it is, I would think everybody would do it like that. Y'all had the studio, y'all had the label, and I know that I remember some other artists that y'all had. I believe y'all had Wisdom.
That's right.
Caught on that. Who else did y'all have?
Yeah, that was Deke's vision because there was so much, there was so much talent in the Jamaica Queens area, South Side. So Nikki and Glenn, Deke incorporated them into the enterprise, and we had a singing group called the Zodiacs, and then Diane Jenkins, she branched off on her own, and she was doing records. She was on the Creative Funk label.
Did Funk House Express record under y'all at all?
No, they didn't.
No, okay.
Yeah, it was Wisdom, Zodiac, Creative Funk, Diane Jenkins, and maybe two other singing groups that were signed to the label. And so it worked out really well. We did a lot of the records, Creative Funk, the band. Mm-hmm. Some of the singers, few of the singers that were signed to the label. So that was great.
And so was Denzel Miller a member?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. We started together.
Oh,
yeah, Denzel came into the group after we moved out of the drummer's house before we really established the name Creative Funk. Denzel came into the group playing trombone.
Ah, wow.
Yeah. So we did a lot of gigs with Denzel on trombone. After we became Creative Funk, we used to play at a place in Brooklyn called the Id, and something had happened where there was an organ there, or that was on the stage for one of the previous groups. So Denzel sat down and started playing the organ. And at the time, the guitar player, Robert Banks, we looked at one another and we said, we didn't know you could play like that. So next thing you know, now he's playing keyboard in the group, right? And then that's when Sonny came into the group.
Okay.
When Denzel came in and started playing keyboard. Yeah, man, and what a great time we had. Fabulous musician.
Well, that stuff was killing. We used to do, I remember Moving World.
That's right.
And but I just remember Ready Made Family, it still played. That's a classic hit.
Yeah, man.
And anytime somebody talks that song, like, there's been a couple of open mics I've been to, and I was like, what they know about that song? You know,
Wow.
when they would do that. And I was like, hey, they from around my way.
Yeah.
Create a funk.
There was a group that actually played at the time. The group was called 90 Proof.
Mm.
They played over in Rochdale.
Yeah,
Uh,
90 Proof. Is that the Wayne and Glenn
yeah, that's
Harrison
right.
and them? Yeah.
Right. That's
Mhm.
right. So it blew me away, man. That's the first band that I ever heard play it live. Really,
Oh, okay.
I heard a lot of singers sing with it and sing to the track, but it's the first time I heard the entire band played it. So I was really, really honored to hear that.
And and again, because of the story content, it was like, yeah, it was.
That's
Hey, that
right.
still holds true today. You know?
That's right. That's
So,
right. You only come around late at night when the
right,
kids are asleep.
right. That record could actually be a movie, man.
Yeah,
Just based it on
you
that,
know,
just on the
and
lyrics.
it is still playing. I always
Mhm.
get people hit me up on Facebook about it, and Instagram. And I have thought about, redoing the song.
Mhm.
I'm looking for a young lady
Right,
to redo it. That's in that age, the childbearing age,
right.
for it to really still have that same impact. But I just want to thank everybody in the neighborhood and then tri-state area that really made that record big.
Yeah, man.
It,
Thank y'all.
it,
It was
yeah,
yeah. Y'all was such an inspiration, man, to us younger musicians. Seeing that, like I said, I used to since I lived across the street from Rich, I would see y'all come. Everybody knew the black, red, and green
that's
uh,
right.
station wagon. Then y'all had the van. They had the record on the side of it.
That's right. That was
And,
Deke's marketing genius. He was
oh,
a marketing genius.
oh yeah, he's like, well, he was doing it right. So
Yeah,
and I never forgot that. And like I said, I never understood. I always said that why doesn't everybody have their own studio that started making money? Like especially with a lot of rappers coming out of Queens. It was
yeah,
like, why wasn't that the first thing y'all did?
yeah.
So that budget money y'all comes right home.
That's right. That's right. Because you realize you need your manufacturing plant.
Right.
Whether you get a record deal or not, you still need the place to groom, the
Right.
place to grow.
And like you
And
said, y'all can rehearse all day and not to be
yeah,
on anybody's clock.
that's right.
You
The
know.
only problem that we had was the police coming by running people away that was stamped out on the front.
Right.
But Deke would come out and say, well, leaving them alone. This is, young kids on their bike would sit on the bike and listen to us play. But, the police department was paranoid. You see a bunch of young black kids gathered together. They want to think the worst.
Right. So tell me about some of the, I saw you post, which is a great shot of the front Apollo says Supreme's Creative Funk.
Oh,
So,
man.
like the tour, like tell me some of the acts that y'all were out with back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, the first time we were at the Apollo, it was one of those Christmas shows, man, where there were about 6 or 7 different groups on the bill. One I specifically remember was the Smith Connection, the Manhattan Emeralds, the top R&B group, two other groups from Motown. Now I remember we would come on first at the Apollo, and the group Smith Connection was there. It was a singing group, 3 brothers. So they didn't have a bass player. So I did the audition for them. So they came on third. So after I do a Creative Funk, I would change my clothes and come back and play with Connection. And then they would, after that, they had engagements in Philadelphia. So I would run to Philadelphia with them. And one reason why I really remember this group, the drummer, Tiki Forward, was Parliament's Funkadelic, one drummer.
Okay.
One of the original drummers. And you talking about a funky dude. Oh, man. He and Rich really got along well.
Wow.
And so, I had an opportunity to work with him on Smith Connection. And so at Apollo, that was a 2-week stay.
Mm-hmm.
So we were every day for 2 weeks. Now then we came back every year. Now that one with the Supremes, that was a Motown special because Eddie Kendricks was on the bill also. So it was Creative Funk, Eddie Kendricks, and the Supremes. Now, instead of 2 weeks, Eddie Kendricks was only able to do a week.
Uh-huh.
So after he cut out, then that just left Creative Funk and the Supremes. But let me tell you something, man. Them boys from Detroit, Eddie Kendricks and those, man, they were older than we were, so they blew our socks off. They had that tune, Keep On
Keep
Trucking.
on trucking. Okay.
Yeah,
He's on his
yeah.
own then.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh man. And another one they had that was a hit. So that was a really great experience for us. And that whole thing was set up by Motown. So
Okay.
of course they videotaped the Supremes and all. We
Right.
didn't get in on the videotape on the movie,
Right.
but that was a great experience for us to work with the pros like that.
Right. So, like, did y'all do a lot of other states?
Yeah, we worked a lot in. We did some work in Ohio, in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in New Jersey, especially. Oh man, one of the biggest things we did was the Rutgers concert and Rutgers University with Earth, Wind, and Fire,
Mm.
Ohio Players,
Wow.
Soul Generation. Boy, what a gig that
Wow.
was, man. Of
When?
course, we came on first.
Right.
Yeah, we were young guys. I think this was in about 1971, either 71 or 72,
Mm-hmm.
right before Earth, Wind, and Fire really broke to the point where they were. And Ohio Players, my goodness, it was really a funk night.
Wow. I know. Um, we tried to go see y'all. I believe it was the RKO on Jamaica
Right.
Avenue or Laventia, whichever. I can't remember. They was across the street from each other.
Yeah.
And my mother gave us the money to go see it. Me and my brother, who was even younger than me, but we got to go see them. Ma, Rich lived across the street. So
Yeah.
we stand outside, and long story short, we never got in to see y'all because the Crowns and the Skulls started fighting. So
There you go. Now you know what happened. I'm glad you did get in because Kool and the Gang was on that bill.
okay,
Just as soon as Kool and the Gang finished playing, we came on and we were doing Funk Power,
mm-hmm.
and the Crowns came up on the stage to stop the show.
What?
Yeah, man. It
Oh
was a Teddy
man.
Powell production, man. They just went up and grabbed the mic, stopped the show. One guy came back and put on my hands on my bass. I said, "No, you
Oh
want to do that,
man.
bro? You better get back." 'Cause I had a nice Fender bass that was hooked up
Oh
with
man.
electronics through one of the tech engineers that we had. So yeah, man, they shut the show down. Yeah,
Dag.
right. I think that was the second time we were there.
That- and
The first time was successful.
so
It was insane.
never got to see y'all because of that. After that, I was like, nope.
Wow,
That was
I
it.
don't
That
think.
was it for me and my brother going to see anything. I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we were
know.
so disappointed, because I never got to see y'all.
Yeah. Well, the show never did go on. And
Okay.
like I said, now the first time we were there with Al Green.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. That went by. But yeah, so I'm glad you wasn't there. It was peaceful. No one was hurt.
And for people who don't know back then, them ticket prices, I guess, but back then they were considered expensive, but you were seeing about good 7 acts.
Yeah.
And so it was a whole night of music because the first show I ever went to, my sister took me was to see Al Green was the headliner, but it had like the Stylistics, Shy Lights, Blue Magic. It was so many acts on that one, so we got to see that.
We played with Blue Magic or Black Ivory at Rochdale.
Okay.
Because Rochdale used to put on a lot of those R&B shows.
Wow. Okay.
Because Teddy Powell was the promoter,
Mm-hmm.
and Teddy Powell was good at booking a lot of things in New Jersey and New York, and Jamaica, Queens was the place, man, because as you know, there was a lot of musicians and a lot of people who support music that came out of Jamaica, Queens.
Right. Because by the time I started playing, that's when it was dying. Well, I ain't gonna say dying, but changing. So, because I could remember earlier, before I started playing, like the clubs that were in Queens, Club Ruby, I think there was a place called Ruby. I don't know how many times Mitch changed I remember that as the scene, but I knew it was different names before that.
That's right. It was.
And so later on when I was playing, you just had like the track was left, Manhattan proper,
Right.
so it was a different thing because I can remember being younger. It was like, bands was always playing somewhere. I remember there was a place called Mr. B's that I
Right.
played that Duke Baldwin used to be in there.
I boot that.
Right. And and so I would sit and talk with him, and it's like I always said, if one thing that every Queens musician has in common, it was Duke Baldwin.
That's right. Right.
Everybody knew Duke Baldwin.
Uh-huh. And it mentions, speaking of that, that's how one way to create a funk became popular because Deke had us playing in every club that he could find there in Queens. It was the Galaxy, and now it's the Laundromat that's right there on Farmers Boulevard, right? Then Kitchy's Corner up here. Then I mentioned before the Linda Manor. So we used to rotate all of those spots. Yeah, man, Queens was the spot, man, for shows. We had the folks came out to support everything that was going on. And like you said, the ticket, there wasn't much money to get in. And so, there was, again, thanks for all the support from Queens, man. It was jumping. And then on the jazz spot, we had the Village Door.
Door, right. Yeah,
right.
The Door.
And we had Skylark that was right down the block.
Right.
And then the restaurant that was owned by the brothers, they used to have jazz downstairs. What was that?
You talking about Carmichael's?
Carmichael's, that's right.
Yeah, yep.
Carmichael's was a big spot for the jazz. So that's why I came in playing with the older cats, learning how to play jazz. So I tell you, man, the area was jumping.
Right. So back to bass. Like, what made you want to play bass?
Well, when I got to Sharma Junior High School, I was in the orchestra. They put me in because at that time you had an orchestra and a full band. So I was in orchestra class. I had the number system back there. So if you were in 6'2" and 6'3", you got a privilege to be in the orchestra. So the orchestra teacher said, all right, whatever instrument you want to play, you had to go home. You had to bring in your consent slip from your parents. I wanted to play cello. So, yeah, man. So I came home. I said, Mom, I want to play cello. She says, okay. She signed a consent slip, but then I lost it the next day going to school. So when everyone was handing in that consent slip, and the teacher says, if you don't bring in your consent slip, you're going to be stuck with playing the upright bass.
Wow.
So I lost my consent slip, so I had to play the bass, man, upright, man. And
wow.
I was
well, that worked out.
That's right. That's right, man. I was disappointed, but I it was cool. I got into it. And I worked out. Big bass back and forth to school. Then my parents actually bought me a bass, a Sam Ash. And then my first group, the Mighty Fantastics, before then, in junior high school, Arnold Ramsey, Eddie Brown, says, hey, man, once you join our band, come on by the house. You don't have to bring a bass. I have an electric bass. And I said, electric bass? What's that? Because I only knew the upright bass.
Right.
So they introduced me to it was a Fender Jazz bass that they had there in their house, in their home, because they were a complete musical family. So I learned how to play the electric bass from there, man, and that's how I got started with it. The rest
is wow. So you started with upright and then bass. That because again, I just assume when I see people playing electric bass that's what they started on. Back then. So I didn't even realize cats was playing upright till later.
Right.
When I started playing straight ahead. That maybe that they didn't start on that.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, I didn't even know there was electric bass.
Wow.
In the orchestra, you had to play orchestral things with the bow. And of course, back then, we're talking about in the 60s, R&B wasn't in schools.
Right.
So it was always a classical thing. And so, yeah, man, I enjoyed it. That's what led into it. But like you said, I wanted to play cello. because I love the
Right.
sound of the cello and the bow.
Right.
Yeah.
So now what led to like with Creative Funk, when did y'all started like going your separate ways?
Oh man, that was a sad time when the group broke up. Um, Cats just start leaving and to go and what they thought were bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happened with the first group. After Denzel had left, after Robert Banks had left, after Sonny had left, to do other things, I tried to keep the group going. So
Right.
there was actually a Creative Funk too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was replacing the people that left. I even forget the name. Remember the guitar player and the piano player. They were brothers out of Rochdale, Dave and Greg Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
They were good, man. So they came in, and I was searching for several guitar players. So the second group we were together for about a year. We were doing things in Bermuda,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really hard to replace that Creative Funk original sound,
Right. Right.
especially the rhythm section. Because then I was hiring other horn players and things to come in.
Right.
Creative Funk too. Like I said, we held it together for about a year, but it wasn't the same as the guys you cut your teeth with, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the first thing, man. That was just the chemistry. That was just the magic. We had with that group, with the Ready Made Family group, Funk Power. You know, and so that was a sad time. And Richard, he was really upset about it because he was heart and soul was in the group.
Right.
Man, you talk about a reliable person and somebody who really dedicated himself, to the band. So
Right. Cause did he go to play with anybody else after that? Cause
no, he didn't. I tried to
I.
encourage him to go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and do other things because when we stepped out into the world, there was a lot of openings for a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
The stars, but for some reason he didn't want to. He didn't want to play with anybody else. So I was encouraging him to do so. Um, then I went out on the road, man, and I think Richard had
Mm-hmm.
moved down to one of the Carolinas. You know,
Okay.
so that was the sort of the demise of the group. I tell you, one opportunity we had, Atlantic Records wanted us.
Okay.
We could have signed with them, but we thought
Mm-hmm.
since we were going good, had good popularity, we thought we
Right.
could do it ourselves.
Right.
Which in hindsight, that was a big mistake. I believe Atlantic had picked us up and put that money into us. I
Right.
think that group would have stayed together. No other outer influence would influence guys to do other things.
Wow.
Yeah, so we all young, man. So I just tell people, young cats are starting out now. Where they say it's not always green on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
got something good, stick with it, stick it out. Always stay prepared, and good things will happen. But we were all young,
Right.
so it worked out good for me, man. I got a chance to go out and play with some of the heavyweights.
Yeah.
That really, expanded my musicianship.
Yeah. So who would you work with? I think I saw you had mentioned Stanley Turntine, right?
Oh yeah, man. I first
Yeah, I
started.
played him.
Yeah, I first started with Bobby Humphrey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. I think I had about a good 3 year run with Bobby Humphrey. And the
Nice.
guitar player, Robert Banks. We were on that job together. And drummer
Mm-hmm.
J.T. Lewis.
Okay, JT. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
Tom James on keys. So, Bobby, that was really a cool gig. That's when she had the song Harlem River Drive.
Right. Okay.
And then the album, the Satin Doll album. So that was nice, man. George Wein was putting on concerts at stadiums. So that's the first chance that we had to play at like big stadiums.
Okay.
Oh, that was great.
So like when you started doing that, did you play with any like other like you knew Ronnie Drayton?
Yeah, I
Right.
knew
Rest in peace, Ronnie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And some was it Jack Sass,
Yeah,
Liz and all of them.
absolutely. Those are great groups that came out of Queens.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so many.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Then after Pop
that's-
Wimpy, I did Norman Connors,
okay.
Gene Carn. So that was a good experience. Now that gig, I'm into polyrhythms now. Now I'm playing 7/4,
Right.
5/4, So that Norman's a drummer, so he just took it
Right.
there into I guess they would call it the contemporary jazz. I don't know what they would call it, Wally's label. And Gene Carn, the song Gingy and all, so that was great. Then I did 2 years there. Then after that, that's when I ran into the great Stanley Turnchill. My goodness.
Yeah. I played for Stanley in the mid-90s.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah. hmm And I just did a cruise. I used to, at that time I was doing stuff with the Bartletts on
Nice.
and off. And we did a cruise, and so we played for Stanley.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to play for Stanley. He always made a joke of me because I used to tell him, I said, look, I ain't no jazz drummer. I didn't ever feel that. And so he ended up, we was playing straight ahead tune. He ended up making me solo. And for the rest of the cruise, he cracked and he keeps saying he's not a jazz drummer. I was like, hey, well, hey, I do what I need to do.
That's right. That's right.
I wouldn't consider myself that, but
Stanley
hey, thank
called
you.
you out. He would call you out, make you play it.
Yeah, man, he's a great player. He was a great player.
Wow. Listening to that makes 3 years. Sometimes I forget one of my biggest shows I never forget with him is when we did Carnegie Hall. He was headlining, and on the bill was Freddie Hubbard and George Benson.
Wow.
And so for the last song, he would call up. He called up Freddie Hubbard and George Benson to play the last 2 tunes with him. So I was out there in the rhythm section, and I can't believe, man, to the left of me was George Benson, to the right of me was Stanley, and to the far right was Freddie Hubbard.
That's great, man.
What am I doing?
That's great.
And we played and in person, man. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe it.
And that's great. So, other than you and Denzel, like y'all the only 2 that kind of stepped out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were the only 2. Denzel went on to do some great things, man.
Yeah. Well, he went because Denzel kind of headed to the West, right?
Yes,
West Coast.
He went to the West Coast and had great success.
Yeah, I remember him like with Jermaine Jackson.
Right,
and just went on to do a whole bunch of other stuff after that.
Right, he's playing. He was a second keyboard player with he's playing with George Duke and Stanley Clark.
Okay.
Project
and I know he was doing Lenny White stuff because he's on the Streamline album.
Mm-hmm.
He was and actually writing some stuff. Him and Donald Blackman.
Yeah, that's right, man.
And
right.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know because I always ask, was him and Marcus and Ronnie Miller related? Did you know?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. I do think they were the great Miller name.
Right.
But Denzel and Marcus were working together. They did some
right. Yeah, because I know they was on that Marcus was playing with Lenny at that time.
Yeah.
With that and
mm-hmm. There's something about the Miller name because you got that who's the bass player, Byron Miller.
Right.
There's something about Miller boy, the musical.
Well, man, that's great, man. You did some great stuff. And so now I always see you posting stuff. When you get into the acting thing?
Oh man, I stumbled on that. Oh man, and I've been doing acting for 12 years. The first 2 years I was non-SAG, and then I got my vouchers to become SAG. I did that. I did Men in Black, the last Men in Black 3 that Will Smith did. And the way that works, you have to get 3 vouchers in order to be eligible to be SAG-AFTRA. So they had me on that show, and I got 6 waivers on that, and all I needed was 3. So they gave me my eligibility to be SAG-AFTRA, and I did all that work with them, and come to find out they cut all the scenes I was in.
Wow. Yeah, I know that happens.
Yeah, exactly. but I got the eligibility from that. And
Right.
then, I just start getting calls for put things in for Cast Network. And a great photographer, a friend of mine, Linda Strobert, she was the one that helped me get into that from photography. Because she always, would take my pictures, and she was working with agency. And my first big commercial I did with her was through Vicks NyQuil, where I actually got paid to just sleep the whole time in the bed after they gave Vicks NyQuil. And I tell you, that blew my mind because they put that on subways, on buses, and wound up with a lot of magazines. People would call me and say, "Yo, you just popped up on my computer."
Right.
With that Vicks NyQuil. So from then, man, like I said, I just kept getting calls for background things for here and there. So 10 years I've been doing the background acting thing.
That's great, man.
I just got a call from some agents. So after the pandemic, probably
get it back going, right?
Yeah. I took a break from all of that.
Right.
For that.
So I know your wife's a keyboard player, right?
Yes, she is.
Right. And I see your daughter is doing big things.
Oh, yes, she is. Yolanda Deberry.
Yeah, that's good. I think the last time I might have, maybe I've seen you since then, but I know when y'all band, I was playing with Dave Brown at one time.
Oh, nice.
And we ran into each other at Anton's.
Okay, nice.
And we saw, y'all, we was all coming in, moving our gear in at the same time.
Right.
And I told him, I said, that's the bass player from Creative Funk.
I worked with Dave a lot with I used to work with when he was running a division of Ron Anderson.
Right.
In the Versatiles, and I was working with Dave within that organization.
Yep. I met Mr. Anderson I think 10th grade. He was getting us into that circuit.
Yeah.
And he came to hear the band. And he was, as a matter of fact, we used to play one of y'all songs. And because we had a horn section at the time before he left to go to another band.
Wow, yeah, I know that.
Horns was hard to come by back then.
Yeah, that's right.
They would always be going to somebody else's band. But he's the one that showed us. He said, "Oh, yeah, sound great." He said, "Play me a calypso."
Yeah.
Huh? Play me a jazz tune. Play me Satin Dolls. What? And so he told us. He said, "Oh, if you're gonna be in this," he said, "y'all gonna have to learn how to play everything." And that was our introduction to that circuit.
That's right. Now with the circuit there, I got into that after I came off the road. Speaking of my wife, I was on the road for 8 years and fell in love with her. Then we started our family, and then we put a band together. We called it First Class. So Ron Anderson was giving me a couple of his jobs, and another group, Soundpipers, was giving us jobs. So we did all of the, the Masonic things and things. So you're talking about playing a wide variety of music. There it was.
Oh yeah, and it was good lessons for us because I think Dave's work all came from Mr. Anderson's overflow.
Yeah, that's right. So that's how we go. And then I worked with an agency, Stephen Scott.
Stephen Scott agency.
And I had bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, Greeks, Italian, a wide variety of music there. So that was really great, man. When I had to play in the synagogue, I had to put a yarmulke on. So
them gigs paid well. Yeah. So tell everybody what you're doing now. You on Pandora? Let everybody know what you got happening now.
Oh yeah, man. Pandora Radio has been playing my music. It went live, so I appreciate that. And I have music out on Spotify. Everything under Gary Deberry Sr. And I just released my latest album. It's called Two of a Kind. And Two of a Kind, I went back to my piano roots.
Okay.
I'm playing both piano and bass on that. But a lot of the compositions, man, I am playing piano, except for one song that my wife did, a gospel song. But the other 9, I'm playing piano.
So is it straight ahead, smooth, or what genre?
Right. It's the it's hard to, when you're a composer, it's really hard to put a label on your song.
Right.
What you do. but that's just the way the market is. When you're putting things in, you got to give it a label. So I would say it's like contemporary funk jazz.
All right, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you could dance to it, you could tap your foot to it. You could listen to it at a barbecue or in a gazebo.
Yeah, that's good because when you're trying to when you just want to do good music,
yeah,
like you said, but then you still got to deal with the industry. You still got to deal with what's out here, and people have been programmed
right
to genres.
Right. And see, Kevin, that's what I like about technology today is that you could really be your own entrepreneur, and you can really get your own audience.
Right.
So when people come and hear my music, I'm trying to develop my own artist, my own sound, so they know when they come to listen to Gary Deberry senior music, you know what you're going to get. So
it goes back to what y'all were doing, man. Basically, your own label. This is what I do.
Exactly.
This is my record. I ain't got to answer to nobody.
Exactly.
Either you like it or you don't. I tell people that's all that it is. You like it or you don't. All I need my job is to make sure that you know that I'm out here.
That's right.
But like you said, that's the way. Like I always said, Creative Punk y'all were doing it back then.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that's the attitude that we had back then,
Right.
We said, we're just going to do us, we're not this, we're not that. So, and if people happen to like what you do, that's a plus.
Right. Build your own audience.
I find out that you have to keep listening to something new. Fred Bugs and I talk a lot about, because Bugs, Bugsy Bugs from oh man, he said one thing he found out is people are not listening to music as much as they used to.
Right.
So if you could get people to listen to music for a while, it will grow on them.
Right.
I mean, how many times have you heard a song you said, I'm not liking that, but after you hear it maybe 20 times, you said, yeah, I'm feeling it. That's why
that's a good thing.
That's right. That's how I did well on Pandora.
Right.
So for 10 months, I had a CD called Out the Basement. And for 10, 11 months, they mixed me in with everything else.
Right.
And so it was nice. It worked. And then Spotify is a good thing.
Right. Yep.
So like you just said, man, if you want to hear something new from independent artists, and these venues, they really welcome independent artists because they know they really get tired of playing the same thing over and over.
Right.
So, they really are. And I just contribute that all to technology today. I mean, with the technology, man, like you're doing some fabulous stuff. I like the
man, appreciate it.
You're doing. Oh yeah, man.
Appreciate that, man.
I'm gonna have to
enjoy your stuff.
I'm gonna hire you to do one of my videos, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my man. That's New City Edits that I work with.
Yeah,
we do that. That's his end.
Great job, man. Great job.
Yeah, man.
And seeing video is a big thing too.
Yeah, that definitely has a lot to do.
First today.
Because a lot of people they need to see stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
So image has a lot to do with it.
Right.
There's plenty of money in music licensing for 15 seconds.
Oh, that's right. Absolutely, man. I'm into that now, man. I have some going on over in the UK, man. And one thing, the UK, they still like the music of the 70s.
Oh, my fiance got a tune now playing over there that we did 2 years ago.
There you go.
But I tell her, I said, sometimes it takes that long. I said, so it's always new to somebody who's never heard it.
That's right. That's right. Now we're talking about music done 50 years ago.
Right. Right. And because the UK definitely is still into soul and R&B.
That's right. And they don't like digital music.
Right.
It has to be on vinyl.
Right.
Well, like you said, man, the sound is just so much better.
Yeah, it's that bigger.
I think we got used to We got used to this whole digital. I call it the fast food sound of music, man.
Yeah.
But back with you could buy a stylus for your turntable, man. For as much as $2,000.
Yeah.
But the sound is incredible. It's like you're sitting right in the middle of the orchestra or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's funny because when the technology came, it was very clean, but it was thin. So when they started to remaster stuff, like I heard some remastered stuff in Japan on Hendrix was incredible. However, a lot of the plugins now try to give you an analog sound.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I was
right.
like, isn't that crazy? Y'all making digital stuff to sound analog.
That's right. And that's right. That's where they market all of the digital
All of the
players.
tape saturation plugins and all of that.
Yeah. So
But like I said, it still comes down to good music. So we use what we could do to do it. All right, Gary, man, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on Musician Rewind, man. It was a pleasure to have you. And I learned some stuff, man. And again, man, Creative Funk. Thank you, man. Just thank y'all for that, because it really motivated me to I got to say, it had a lot to do with what I'm doing now.
Oh, that's great.
To getting to see cats like y'all doing your thing.
Yeah, that's great, man. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just doing it.
Hey, man, right. That's what most people don't realize. They're creating history. They just doing what they love.
That's right. I'm glad it was great. That's what we're here for, right?
Yep.
To inspire and to pass on. And I love what you do, man. All the best.
Appreciate it, man.
HX. That's it.
Yeah, appreciate that. All right, bro. All right. So that's it.
We'll do it again.
Okay. Just rewind, y'all. We're going to see y'all the next time. And be safe.